Welcome back to Queerly Thinking. I am your host, Reese Wheatley.
I'm your other host, Sam Stone.
So tell me, how have you been since last semester?
I have been good, just going through life one day at a time.
That's all we can do in this
Yeah.
climate right now anyways.
Absolutely.
If you want me to be honest.
Climate change, everything.
Yeah. How was your break?
Oh, my break was good. It was so much fun to have my family home. All my siblings come home. The main thing we do is always just hang out and play Mario Party. Always a blast.
I love that. I bet your household is thriving whenever all the siblings are home.
It's pretty chaotic. If you think I'm loud living here, then at my home environment, you need to wear headphones because I could be pretty
love
chaotic.
that.
But life updates are good.
Good.
Yeah, home is good. My relationship with Ellie is good. I have been.
Ellie is their partner of
Yes,
5
yes,
years,
I
by
forgot
the
to.
way.
And I have just been slowly but surely moving forward in my art major.
I love that for you. Very cool.
How has your life been going, Reese?
It has been so interesting, if you want me to be honest. I have a huge update for the podcast. I've been waiting for weeks to sit down and record this podcast after a bunch of difficulties with schedule and losing my job and then getting a new job and figuring out a bunch of life, just navigating life. So December 28th, I went to UK Healthcare and I had my hormone appointment. It was supposed to be like a consultation. Went really well. My mom went to support me and asked all the right questions, and all my questions were answered. I didn't personally expect to start testosterone so soon, but the prescription was filled within a day or two, and I officially started on December 31st, 2022. So the very last day of the year is the very first day that I took my first dose,
Nice.
which was very exciting.
Yeah, man, that must be.
So I am absolutely thrilled, absolutely thrilled. I think that if testosterone was not dumbing down my emotions right now and making me so for those that don't know about testosterone, a little bit about it, one of the side effects makes it more difficult for you to cry. And maybe a little bit of it is toxic masculinity, but a huge part of it is just the fact that I cannot outwardly feel my emotions. They are very inward right now, and it is very difficult to express myself, whether it's through words, through actions. So I'm finding it very hard to be emotional in general. But if I could, I promise you, it would be happy tears right now because this podcast is like a baby to me. And I'm thrilled to say that it looks like on the calendar, it's been exactly a month and a few days since I've been on testosterone officially.
Wow.
So I'm doing the gel. I'm not doing the shots. I'm not a huge needle person,
Neither am I.
despite tattooing myself all the time. But
I want a tattoo. I want to get a tattoo at some point.
really,
Yeah. I
did
don't know
not
what
know
to get,
that.
but I want one.
We'll have to talk about
Sorry
that
to
later.
interrupt.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, I'm on the gel. I apply it on my shoulders or under my arm, kind of both. Whatever I decide to do that night. To be honest, it's what I feel. It dries, and then I go about my day. But I have to do that every day compared
Right.
to the people that do the shots who have to do that every other week or every week, depending on their dosage and what's going on with their doctor. But I'm very happy to give that life update in general.
Yeah.
But other than that, I had an amazing break. I spent a lot of downtime off of social media. Once again, I found myself in one of those loops where I was getting sucked into all of the hate and just the really opinionated people that need to give their opinion in a better way, in my opinion.
No, I absolutely know what you mean by that. Sometimes on TikTok, I just see some things where I'm just like, this can be expressed in a much healthier way.
Yes, it is very overwhelming to see unhealthy language being used online and people freely using slurs or just the microaggressions that you come across
Right.
on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I still use TikTok personally because I think it's a wonderful platform.
I deleted my Snapchat over the winter break, but I still have my TikTok, admittedly.
Wonderful. You're keeping the right one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to say that TikTok is the new wave of freeform media in that way. So,
Absolutely.
but other than your family and everything over break. How was it coming back from break?
Honestly, it was a good feeling. Coming back from break, I was excited to get back into my schedule. I'm the kind of person who loves to have a schedule. I'm not great when it comes to like everything just kind of being up in the air. When I have my set schedule, I feel good. I feel like I can get things done. But it was a good feeling to be coming back. It was weird because it felt like I was gone for like 3 years, even though it was like a month and a half.
Felt like forever.
Yeah, and then coming back, it was like, hello, old friend. It was.
You just sounded like Joe from You, and the new season of You doesn't come out for another few weeks. So
I've never got into that. Is it any good?
Oh, it's so good. We should watch it. That's going to be a new show in our dorm, probably being played.
I mean, the current show we're watching is HBO's The Last of Us.
I do want to find I wanted to find a little way to talk about that in this episode.
I was wondering, should we bring that up?
I would love to bring that up. Please tell me a little bit about the background of The Last of Us.
Yeah, so this is where I was shine. So The Last of Us, developed by Naughty Dog, which is a game company that's owned by Sony, originally developed this game in 2013 for the PlayStation 3, and then it was later released on the PlayStation 4.
Wow.
But yeah, no, if it came out around 2020, that would be a whole different thing. But but basically, we follow this character named Joel, and his whole thing. Obviously, I won't go into spoilers because people are enjoying the show. But
Correct.
the things that the trailer advertises is basically you're following this character named Joel, and he is traveling around the country in a post-apocalyptic world with a little girl named Ellie. And I don't know if I should go any more into that, but if you want to know more.
So that's a little bit of a background with it. I'm going to go ahead and say, spoiler warning, click off of this if you have not watched the 3rd episode, because what I want to talk about is kind of I would say a queer storyline that was really important in the game and really important in the show.
Yeah.
Because it takes up a whole episode.
Yeah, it's really interesting too because the way that they went about it in the game, I went into the show as somebody who played the game. I went into it thinking, "Oh, this is what they're gonna do. That it's gonna follow this storyline that happens in the game." They really switched it up.
They did.
Yeah, and not in like a bad way at all.
Yeah. So in the game, Frank and Bill.
Yes.
Okay, I got it right.
Yeah.
I'm still new to this like video game thing. I've been getting into the video game world a little bit.
Yeah.
Mostly with Fortnite, but
well, we play. We'll occasionally sit down and play scary video games together.
Yes.
Those are always fun.
Yes, that too. But so Bill is a character that they come across in the game. Joel and Ellie, and they get supplies from him, I believe, and they're still looking for a car battery so Joel can go to his brother.
Yes.
So Joel can go to his brother Tommy.
Yes.
I'm so progressive right now, knowing everything. And in the game, we never see Frank alive. I will not touch on how. You can look it up if you want or play the game. It's wonderful. It takes forever, though, so you would have to allot like a whole day.
It's around a 12 to 13-hour game, but honestly, one of the best experiences I've ever had just by experiencing the story.
Yes.
It's quite amazing. It moved me to tears.
Yes, the game is very moving, personally, for someone that just admitted to not outwardly feeling emotions. This 3rd episode brought me to tears. Again, click off of this if you have not watched The Last of Us Episode 3, please, because I wanted to touch on this. So we do see Frank alive.
Which is the big change.
Which is the big change in Episode 3. And throughout the episode, we learn of how they come across each other. Frank stumbles into one of Bill's booby traps, I would say.
Yes, he kind of is like a extreme survivalist, and
one of those.
Essentially booby traps this entire like neighborhood that he's living in. And so like infected like zombies or like people who like may want to take his supplies, they can't even get close.
Yeah, he stumbles into one of those. They meet, they end up going into his house, and he cooks a meal for Frank. And Frank takes a shower, gets out, sits down, eats a meal, and then notices the old piano in the corner of the room and plays it. And then Bill says, "Hold on a second, I'm going to play." I just hit my mic. I'm going to ignore that. Sorry. Frank goes to let Bill play the piano, and then after they have a moment where Frank asks Bill, who's the girl? And Bill says in turn, there's no girl. And Frank says, I know. And then we have this beautiful queer moment between two men in a TV show that is really well known right now and being really mostly well received before this episode.
Yeah.
Which
I've been seeing advertisement for the show everywhere. I can't not see it.
Because we failed to mention the fact that the main character Joel is being played by Pedro Pascal.
Talented actor, amazing.
So this is someone that's in The Mandalorian. He's in Game of Thrones. He is everywhere right now. Yeah. He is, quote, the internet daddy right now.
And I agree.
The internet's daddy.
I just want to say I agree.
Yeah, I also agree. Coming from a straight man, he is beautiful. I can appreciate beauty when I see it. But anyways, getting back to that, getting a little off topic. But we go throughout the episode. We see their little love story. That we see them spend time together. There's a sweet moment in the garden when Frank plants strawberries and takes Bill, and they have a moment where they enjoy strawberries for the first time in 20 years, is it?
Well, by that point of the show, it's kind of unclear because they were like going back and forth between flashbacks, but it was like around
years.
then.
Yeah,
it's been years.
Beyond 10 years at least.
I couldn't go a month without strawberries, so like...
I thoroughly enjoy strawberries. So, anyways, so they enjoy that moment. We end up cutting to a scene where Frank is unable to walk and unable to really move his arms very much and even feed himself. So, fast forwarding a little bit through the episode, sorry, I promise it's more beautiful than we're describing here, but I'm just trying to get to the point because there is a queer backstory behind this. So this is a queer love story that we're seeing play out throughout this, and Frank ends up sitting Bill down and saying, tomorrow's my last day. And he says something along verbatim, you're going to put these pills in my wine, you're going to cook an amazing dinner for me, and I'm going to drink the wine, and I'm going to go in my sleep. And I forget the exact line, and I really wish in this moment.
I got you, don't worry.
Okay, so Sam is one of these. Sam's going to save me here. So go into what the line is that was just the moment that I started crying at least.
It was, I mean, I could even tell. I was like, oh, this is going to make Reese cry.
And knowing that I can't outwardly show emotion.
1,000% I knew going into this episode knowing.
You knew it was going to make me cry.
So basically, they're sitting down at their dining room table. They just finished their meal. Frank drinks the wine that has the pills in it. And then Bill, and kind of like a sort of shocking scene for the episode, like shocking in the sense of like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it was a moment.
Also takes, a big old gulp of his wine, and he says to Bill, well, Frank says, like, I can't remember what Frank says, but he goes, were there pills in that wine?
In the original bottle.
And Bill looks at him and says, I'm satisfied. I'm old. I've lived. And you were my purpose. Which is, honestly, I don't know if at least off the top of my head, I can't think of a show that had something quite that queer-coded, which is just like really, the episode itself was really just like quite beautiful because like the entire episode is 1 hour and 15 minutes long.
It's a long time.
And the entire episode is just telling you this love story between two men, which is...
Yes, and it was beautiful. And I think, again, this is not the exact thing, but close to it. He, in his letter to Joel, he wrote, I didn't think that there was anyone... One of the cute things... Here's the ADHD speaking in this show. One of the things that he said previously was, I wasn't scared until you got here. Bill said that to Frank, and that was a moment where I was like...
Which, honestly, that is...
God.
Really just like I understand what he's saying by that, and it's honestly that would just be the scariest thing. Just
it's love is scary.
Loving
terrifying. Someone, having a piece of your heart in the world, terrifying.
Yeah,
I've learned that growing up. But my parents and my siblings and everything. Yeah. So I heard and felt that the moment he said it. And then the other thing he said in the letter to Joel was, I didn't think there was anyone worth living or saving.
He
How did he phrase it?
Basically, he said, I didn't think there was anybody in the world who mattered until I met this one person. Turns out there was one good person.
Turns out there was one good person.
The thing that I think I really loved about this episode was that it wasn't implied. Like, it wasn't like an implied gay relationship where they would like hint at things and maybe be like, oh, are they dating or this?
No, they showed it.
And they show it. It is.
There was definitely intimacy.
Yeah,
and there was much more than just intimacy. There was intimacy outside of the bedroom too. So we got to see both, which is nice.
And it just was nice to finally like see something that wasn't just like, oh, are they or are they not? It was like the show tells you they're in a relationship.
Yes.
And it makes that very clear very early on.
I enjoyed it way more than I did the game, only because I feel like they did this for television because it's television, and also
right. It's really hard to tell a video game story the exact same. If you just tried to take the game and make it into a TV show, it would not be good. You have to adapt it to television.
Exactly. And in adapting it, I think that this queer story is a win for the queer community. I mean, I'll go in future episodes whenever we have people on that I would love to talk to about TV shows.
Yeah.
But most of the time, you do have queer characters that get killed off within the first few episodes of anything.
Right.
But here's the thing. This was supposed to happen in a much worse way. This was not really... We weren't supposed to see this whole story play out. We were supposed to see this one sad scene where Bill finds Frank and he is no longer with us, with Joel.
Yeah, and the game is it is like known that in the game Bill and Frank were two gay characters that were in a relationship, but the game never outwardly says it. It is something that is implied within the lines, and you kind of have to like realize it. Like, oh, I see. The
you
show.
Have to be paying attention.
Yeah, like, and if you're paying attention, you're gonna see it. But like, it's a much different take. The show really switched it up, and not for the worse. The show
it was definitely for the better.
Yeah.
I immediately got on Twitter right after we watched it, and I was seeing what people were saying, and very few people like said that they did not like it. But then, fun fact, if you go to IMDb and you go to like the episode ratings, over 15,000 people rated it 1 star. And a majority of the reasons that they noted were because they didn't... I don't like seeing two men kissing each other. I don't like seeing them having implied that they're having intimate time together in bed. Well, here's the thing. We know that we are in a really tough place as a society right now. Not to get super serious after talking about something so enjoyable and wonderful. And honestly, just something that brought me joy personally. Seeing the way that our gay roommate like perceived that episode, seeing him and his what I would say gay boy joy after was just like a really wholesome moment for me. I was like, this is love. This is wonderful. And that's the point of the show.
It really did just feel like love. Yeah, The Last of Us in general is a story about love. That is the meaning behind the whole thing, and they really showed it in that episode.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how they do the other parts of the game.
We'll have to touch a little bit more on that because there is another queer character. Another spoiler here.
Yeah.
Everyone should know that Ellie is queer.
Yes.
It's kind of obvious, kind of made obvious. But we'll go into that in future episodes. But I love that we were able to talk about this.
Yes, absolutely.
A little bit. But I do want to mention real quick, I know you don't watch this because it's not your type of thing. But I did want to say... I believe I had mentioned watching the L Word Generation Q last season sometime, and I finally got to the finale. We got to the finale around Thanksgiving.
Okay, good.
And it was amazing, of course. I mean, the L Word always has a way with words of bringing back old characters in a really beautiful and wholesome way. But the thing that I wanted to touch on with being within the trans community, the only judgment and critique that I have to pass for that show personally is that they gave the only 2 trans characters terrible endings. Terrible endings.
Yeah.
One of them walked away from their partner because essentially he was afraid to have a baby with her because of her condition. And it was a very ableist moment in the show, and I didn't understand why we had him do that after previous episodes with them together super happy. They wanted to do IVF, and they were trying to find a sperm donor. They finally get the sperm, and they're ready to artificially inseminate her, and that's when he walks out at the end of the finale of season 3. And then the other trans character, a trans girl named Tess, goes off in the car, and she had previously been like in recovery for alcoholism and just being an addict in general. And she ends up doing drugs the whole episode and then drives off with this guy. And then at the very last minute, someone gets a phone call, Finley, someone else in the show, whom you're not going to know, but I will act as if
I'm
you
following.
do.
I'm following up.
Finley gets a call basically saying, like, Tess is in trouble. So I'm thinking that they either killed off Tess or they gave her a really bad car accident because she was in a really pivotal moment after her partner Shane cheated on her. Yeah. Which, rightfully so, we should all be pissed if people cheat because that's not cool. Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't do
Be a good person.
Disclaimer, don't cheat.
I did want to touch on that because that was one of the queer shows that I had been watching and that I had remember mentioning in the first season. And I had a lot of people contact me after listening to the episode whenever I mention it and say, I would love to get your take on the finale next season. Yeah. So I said, okay, I will make sure and mention it. So I wanted to make sure and mention it. Yeah. But other than all of that and watching The Last of Us, you're right back to your transition into this semester.
Yes.
Has it been smoother than last semester, would you say, or would it be the same?
I think it was easier to get back into this semester because for me, when it goes like, the longer the break is, the harder it is for me to go back to school kind of thing. Yep. So like going from winter break, it's 1 month and like a few weeks. So like it was like a nice break, but I was able to get back into this pretty well. But going from summer to like a new year, it's like a whole thing, especially when you like move into a brand new dorm or like wherever you're living. Exactly. It can be like more, it can stress me out more personally. So I think I had an easier time transitioning this semester. But what about you?
My transition was easy-ish. I think I got really comfortable at home personally. Yeah. I got really comfortable being around people that knew my pronouns and knew what was going on, you know? Yeah, yeah. And then I come back and I'm facing these really big changes going into the school year, or into the school semester, sorry. Like losing a job, not really even losing it, just losing hours, and then, which a lot of people are going through right now apparently, having to start new jobs and because of the minimum wage and it being so terrible in the state of Kentucky, frankly, especially closer to campus because we're in Richmond. So I find a job at a movie theater here in Richmond, and I noticed that at any place I had felt super comfortable because I kind of introduced myself as Reese, he, him pronouns. Yeah. Well, I was really thrown off when I would be around new people at my new job and it would be hard for them to remember pronouns. Yeah. Or like talk about me in a different way or ask too many questions, you know? Right. I haven't really been in an environment like that before where I've had to constantly stand up for myself. So it really like I was almost like winded my first day after working at my new job because it was just a constant I go by he, him, and then, you know, someone would advocate for me and kind of remind somebody, but I haven't been through that before because here at EKU, my inner circle within this journalism major, we're tight. Yeah. Like everybody knows my pronouns for the most part. Everybody gets them right for the most part. I don't really go outside of my circle ever, and so at this new job, it was kind of a moment where it was bittersweet in a way that I was like, okay, cool, I get to start a new job and I get to start a new part of my life. And then it was also like I would have to come back to the dorm and just take a deep breath and just lay back for a bit because it's just a reminder that I'm trans, and I have that reminder waking up in this body every day that I don't necessarily want to be in. Right. So I think it just not to get super serious again, but I think it's hard on my mental health after a while. So I think that's what I'm going through right now. I'm just kind of navigating a new job and also going throughout the world correcting people, like we can talk about a few of these things in later episodes. I'll make note of that. But like my boss asked me which restroom I was comfortable cleaning, and I said I'm comfortable cleaning both, like as long as customers are comfortable with it, like that's cool. And so like that kind of stuff I really appreciate from a new job because they're being really respectful. Everyone is super respectful. Everyone tries their very best. But correcting customers is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm not super passing right now. I'm not super male presenting, which is fine. That's what the testosterone's for and other stuff. But I think over time it'll be something that I get used to. But I think right now that's just an inward struggle that I'm just navigating on my own and with the help of so many other people. But that's something that I've faced coming into this school year that makes this way different for me. But I am so thrilled to be here with you today because I know we've been trying to do this for weeks. So I want to talk a little bit about what the podcast is going to look like moving forward because we're sitting here with you without a guest. We wanted to talk amongst ourselves and just kind of talk with the audience a little bit.
Like sort of just like introduce what this podcast is going to be like, what our like sort of segments are going to be, and like what to expect in future episodes.
Exactly. So usually within the first 5 to 10 minutes, we will normally have a guest with us. Yeah. Some days we might have, some episodes we might have off weeks, but for the most part, we do have planned guests that are coming on. Mm-hmm. So within the first 5 to 10 minutes, we will do introductions, catch-up sessions, because our next few episodes will be guests that we've already had on. Surprise, surprise. We're going to have DeForest White back on here in the next episode. And I'm so thrilled to have him back on with you because I think that it's going to be a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good episode.
But and then after catching up and getting the update on everyone's life and what's going on with them personally, we would roll into kind of a news segment sort of thing where we would find the most recent news story in LGBT news. And we actually have a website that we are going off of called LGBTQ Nation, which is a exclusively queer news website that covers all things LGBTQ news, politics, lifestyle, a bunch of other things. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that we were going to be doing, and then amongst that be interviewing the guests, kind of talking with them. And then I want Sam to talk about their segment and then go right into what's going on with that.
Yeah. So at the end of each episode, we are going to have a segment called Found Family, where I will humbly introduce a sort of wholesome piece of media, either from like TikTok, Instagram, what have you, and
something that made you feel joy.
Yeah, and give them a quick shout out and describe what it is that I found.
Sure.
So today I have for you a TikTok that comes from TikTok user Brian_Rot_boy, where the premise of the TikTok is that he captions, that his best friend's mom got him trans pride flag stuff, like, and
like a care package.
Yeah, and like it has like a pillow. There's like some pins included in it, and it's
That's
like
so
all
cute.
Yeah, and I just thought this was really sweet because it was sort of like a reminder of like, because unfortunately, some people who are trans, their parents are not supportive of it, and I wish that weren't the case, but unfortunately for a lot of people, that's an issue that they're struggling with. So this was kind of I thought a sweet reminder that you can find family in the places you don't expect it. And I just thought it was sweet that his best friend's mom went out of his way to get him all these things. And I just thought that was a really sweet thing, and I felt that it should be mentioned. And again, that is from
wonderful.
TikTok user Brian_Rot_boy.
Gotcha. Well, shout out to Brian for that TikTok. That is absolutely wonderful. I love to see those types of things. In fact, those are the types of things I prefer to see on platforms. Obviously, if they have their story, I would love them to tell it, whether it's wholesome or wholesomely sad but ends up with a good outcome, like finding family like that.
And Reese, quick question, actually.
Sure.
So in this opening episode, we talked about The Last of Us and the L word.
Correct.
Will we in the future be potentially talking about queer representation in the media, whether that be video games or TV shows or?
That is a very good question. Actually, thank you for asking that. We will be talking about queer representation in media. That is a hot topic. We have been talking about, but I've also run into conversations with people in the journalism community here at EKU in the major, and a bunch of other people in my life, family and friends, have just been bringing it up to me a little bit more because we are seeing more queer representation, and some of it not being what we would like to see us represented as a community as, and then some of it being amazing.
Yeah, like again, The Last of Us episode 3. But it is unfortunate that we live in a society where when stuff like that comes out, it's like a game changer. Like we've never seen anything like this. This is it's sad that it's that rare, but when we do get it.
And so this is not normal. This will not be normal moving forward. That's a wonderful question. We will be touching on that. But I do want to mention, because I just thought of it. So the State of the Union address, I believe, was yesterday, and Biden held it. And Congress was in attendance. Everyone went, everyone important. A bunch of the Supreme Court justices went. And he actually mentioned protecting trans children in it. He was referring to gender-affirming healthcare. And we will get into that in the next episode.
That is going to be a big topic.
In the next episode, whenever we have DeForest White on. But thank you so much for joining us today on our first episode of Season 2 of Queerly Thinking. I'm your host, Reese Wheatley.
I'm your other host, Sam Stone.
Have a wonderful day.